Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. It is May. Get ready to see all of the Justin Timberlake "It's Gonna Be May" memes today. That will flood the social media. I myself have already used it once today, so I've done my part. So welcome to May, everybody. Hope you're having a good one. As the thumbnail of the show said, I want to talk Parks and Rec today. Hopefully some of you were able to watch it last night. I know we don't really have appointment television anymore. It's not really a thing, but I think that Parks and Rec special last night was one of those where if you got to watch it live, that's a fun thing. Mike Porter is here. Good morning. He says, morning. I watched Parks and Rec last night and loved it. I did not watch every season and every show, but I knew the characters. It was very enjoyable and timely. I think it was needed. That's, we're going to definitely get into it, Mike. And I got to say, I echo a lot of what you say there. Just my initial thoughts. It was not what I expected, but it was very funny. Chris Pratt stole the show, and you're right. It was very timely. They dealt with what was going on in a very fun way. So I liked it. So and we'll get into it today for sure. The other stuff we got going on, we covered it yesterday slightly, and I didn't think it was going to blow up today like it did, but there's more information on the Hercules live action movie. And I know we talked about it slightly yesterday, but now that the Hollywood Reporter, right? Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter basically hijacked the exclusive from Diz Insider. Now it's blowing up. It's very strange, and I'll get into that and what I think about why that happened. And it's so funny. Yesterday on the Den of Nerds Live, me and Josh talked about we had a small conversation about scooping, and I wish this happened yesterday so that Josh and I could talk about that yesterday, because what happened with this Diz Insider and the Hollywood Reporter scoop hijack, I think, is a bigger story than the actual story itself. And if it wasn't for the Parks and Rec, I might have actually made that my headliner. And if I was a smart YouTuber who was looking for clicks, that I should have changed it, because that would have been a headliner there. But I don't try to do the clicks, or do we? Do we all? Good morning, Trinity. Are you working out right now? You got your 6 a.m. workout going? He doesn't watch TV shows. Yes, we know. Mike says, I also mourning that Black Widow was supposed to be out today. That's right. Today is Black Widow Day. Forgot about that. We'll get it soon. We'll get it soon enough. No big deal. All right, cool. Well, and then we got some casting announcements. We got a new movie called, what is it called? The Aliens Are Stealing Our Weed, which looks fascinating. I'm excited to bring that up to people. It looks like a fun comedy. And that's when we do these production announcements and casting announcements, I definitely want to get your guys' take on this. These are things that are not necessarily big blockbuster news, which I like to cover on this show, because you know what, whether you go and see these movies or not, I love just hearing about some of these smaller movies And sometimes you get all these actors, and one thing we fall prey to, and it's nobody's fault, but we fall prey to just talking about the wide releases. And I'm not gonna pretend that like I'm like an indie guy. That's not who I am. But sometimes when you see something like, here's a project called Brothers. It's starring Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage. I mean, two actors we all love. And this movie, this independent movie, probably by Legendary, which we'll get into later, probably won't get any traction. But like, why not? Let's talk about it for 5 minutes, just to throw it out there, because it's a couple actors we really like doing a project. So we'll see. But let's get into it. Let's talk about our Parks and Rec. So Parks and Rec, to me, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I know there's always discussions about the greatest sitcoms, and I'm curious, definitely let me know in the chat what your favorite sitcoms of all time are. Even people like you, Trinity, who probably don't watch too much TV, I'm sure you've caught yourself a sitcom or two in your lifetime. So, and I know before, Trinity, you've talked about The Office, possibly, maybe. Are you a Cheers guy? Did you say Cheers? I don't know. But let me know. Let me know what you guys think about your favorite sitcoms of all time. I'm definitely curious. And definitely, if you're watching this on VOD, put it in the chat. Let me know, or in the comments below. Let me know your favorite, because I'm genuinely curious. A lot of people, they're all over the place, and it really depends on your age too. Jay's here. Jay, good morning. He says, I'm an old school TGIF man. Oh, I am myself. I grew up on shows like the Drew Carey Show and Wings. I liked Drew Carey Show. I didn't love it. I think I liked it more because of Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Ryan Stiles, even though I thought he was very underused in that show. So I think that's what drew me to that. Wings, I gotta say, I wasn't huge on Wings, but I hear good things. I casually watched it. Trinity says Seinfeld. I am not here. Here's my beef on Seinfeld. I like the people in Seinfeld, but I don't like the show, if that makes sense. I think they're all individually funny. The show just never worked for me. Now, that being said, there are a couple episodes that I love of Seinfeld. I love the episode where George pretends to be a marine biologist. That is hands down probably, to me, not only the funniest episode of Seinfeld, but one of the funniest episodes of sitcom television of all time. Just how they work it in, and then at the end, when Kramer's shooting golf balls, and he pulls out the golf ball out of the whale who's dying. Oh my God, it was so funny. That's a classic episode. Friends. I'm a huge Friends fan. I know it's very unpopular to say that, but I am. I love that show. I thought as a kid, I didn't love the later seasons, but as an adult, I think the later seasons are actually stellar, and they deal with a lot of quote unquote issues for those in your 30s. So I think that's why as I got older, I enjoyed the later seasons more. Fresh Prince, amazing. I love that show. I wouldn't be surprised if Fresh Prince does something like this Parks and Rec thing that we're about to get into. I mean, it's sad that Uncle Phil is no longer with us. So maybe that might make them shy away from doing it, because if you can't do it with everyone, or you could do the other way where you can honor him and talk about it and do it. Family Matters is good. Yeah, Cheers. Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld with cursing. Yeah, basically. I actually like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I haven't watched Curb in a while. I haven't caught any of the later seasons, but I used to actually watch Curb. I think Curb was funnier than Seinfeld. I don't know. It's different. It's different. Mike says, should have watched Parks and Rec more. You should go back and watch it. And hey, Mike, are you getting Peacock? Because if you get Peacock, you can have all of it. I'm an old guy. I enjoy sitcoms in mid-60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, but my favorite TV show of all time, Big Bang Theory. The nerd gets the hot girl. So here's my thing about Big Bang Theory. And I watched the show in its entirety. I think the first 2 seasons of Big Bang Theory are excellent. They're so good and they're so funny. But I feel like after season 3, they almost became, I don't know, caricatures of themselves, and the references, I thought the first season did a really good job of throwing in references. And I know it's fun to hate on it and saying, well, you know, it's dumbed down nerd stuff. I mean, it was, but it was still fun to have it like referenced in there with the comedy. But I felt like when they made the nerds cool, it kind of lost it for me. But I don't know. And they really had nothing left to do with Raj and what's his name? The astronaut. I forget. I forget. So I like Big Bang Theory. I watched the whole thing. I support it. I like the actors in it. I felt like it fell off. But anyway, let's jump into the Parks and Rec because that's what we're here for. Let's talk this Parks and Rec. This was awesome. I thought they crushed it. Okay, Parks and Rec reunion special crushed it. What they did, what they were able to do with being at home and actually coming up with a story. Well, not too much story, but something for them to do and be in character was excellent. I am so glad that they didn't just do like a reunion special where each person comes out and they're like, hi, this is what it was like being on Parks and Rec. I would have been very disappointed. And I think, and I gotta say, Friends reunion special coming on HBO might, as much as I know people are really looking forward to that, I gotta say, I was very disappointed to hear that it was just like a sit and chat and reminisce special. I really wish they did something like this. Even if it was a one-off episode like this to get the characters back. And it's nothing against the people, but I really would have liked to have seen the announcement from Friends to do the same thing as this. So they did it. They were in character. They were on basically their version of Zoom. And this is what I want to do. I just kind of I'm not going to play it, but I do want to just kind of bounce around just to highlight some of the things that I thought were pretty funny. And I want to get you guys' opinions on this. Aggressively relaxing. Good morning, sir. Thank you for showing up. How was your May? It was literally as nice as a beautiful oak table you made for yourself. Ron Swanson's the best. All right, so it starts off. This threw me for a loop for a second because it was the only thing. It was weird. It was like in character, but not in character. So we have Bobby Newport come in doing the introduction, which was great. He was dumb. It was dumb as hell. It had no idea that there was a pandemic going on. It was so good. So he does his nice intro. And then we get Ben and Leslie. So funny thing about this episode, if you remember the last season of Parks and Rec, that went way into the future. I think it was like 10 years into the future. Hold on, this article, I think. Yeah. So 2048. So it's out. So, oh, okay. So it was actually 2023 was the beginning, and then by the end it was 2048 as she like progresses. So let's just say the beginning of the final season was 2023. So this is a 3-year prequel, if you think about it, because they do say that this was April 2020. So it's a prequel, which is nice. It's funny. So Ben and Leslie are conversing. Ben is going crazy, being isolated and sniffing accidentally cleaner products, and he came up with this idea of doing a Cones of Dunshire claymation animation movie, and she's not having it, and that was pretty funny. Then you skip over to Ron Swanson, who man, Nick Offerman, maybe it's just a quarantine, but he didn't look so good. He was funny as hell. Look at his sunken eyes. I don't know. Maybe he did it up. Maybe that was a makeup choice. But yeah, his stuff was funny. He had a good line where he was talking about how he's been practicing social distancing since he was 4 years old. So that was good. That was good stuff. All right, I gotta move this mic a little closer. There we go. All right. So then we get into basically the plot of this episode is they are Leslie Knope misses her friends. She tries as hard as she can to keep everyone connected, and they do basically a Zoom chain. So one person calls another person calls another until the chain is broken. And the whole thing is that nobody wants to call Jerry because everyone hates Jerry, which is a nice, funny thread, and definitely a callback to all those years where they just crapped on Jerry the whole time. So Leslie calls Ron. Ron is supposed to call Jerry. He refuses. And then we get into what I think is the breakout. And he stole the show. Chris Pratt once again stole the show. Okay. He's one of my favorite characters from the show. He brought it. He brought it so much. It's a tale of three Andys in this show, because in the first part, he locks himself in the garage or in the shed, and he's been out there for 2 days. April won't rescue him. It's some funny stuff. And then they're supposed to call Jerry. They don't, so they call Chris and Anne, and they have a nice chat. The Chris and Anne stuff was never really my favorite, even though I thought it was funny. It was never really my favorite. But it was enjoyable. Jay says he still got it. It looked like everyone was basically able to fall back into character with relative ease. 100%. Yeah. The one person I was actually most worried about was Chris Pratt. I wasn't sure. It's not that I didn't think he would take it seriously. I just wasn't sure, like, how far deep back into the character could he go. And I am so glad. I am so glad that Chris Pratt just dove full body into it. I mean, didn't skip a beat. And this might have been a sort of image rehab that Chris Pratt maybe needs right now. He hasn't necessarily been on everyone's favorite list. So I think of all things, the fact that he crushed it may have helped his social stock a little. So they call them, and then they're supposed to call Jerry, and of course they don't want to, so they call Leslie, and then they also don't want to call Jerry, and then they call Aziz. Hold on, I gotta look it up, because or actually just remind me in the chat his character. It's blanking on me. Here's what I loved about his scene. He did the virtual background, but they didn't like clean it up. They left it just like you would have. I don't know anyone out there who have been in Zoom meetings throughout this whole time. I certainly have. I love the fact that they just kind of left it how Zoom is, right? This is what you get. It's throughout it was shadowy. He broke up a little, and clearly they could have done it wasn't live, so they could have done a million takes. They could have actually got a green screen. They could have made it perfect. But the fact that they left it alone, I thought that was such a great touch and such a great choice to do. So Tom, Tom Haverford, thank you, Jay. I knew I could trust you. So then he calls Donna, and they have their exchange, which was nice, talking about benzos and all sorts of fancy stuff. I wouldn't say they're pushing the envelope of acting ability to be able to give them any kind of real credit for getting back in the character. I mean, it's a sitcom. I'm not saying that they're no, obviously they're not ramping up. They're not, you know, they're not about to jump into characters of like some hardcore drama, but they could have phoned it in. They all could have phoned it in for sure. I mean, of all people, Chris Pratt could have phoned it in. He just could have been okay. Stop hating. Damn, Trinity. You need your coffee. Oh, I know what you're referring to. You're just hating. You're a TV hater. So they call, and then finally they're forced to call Jerry. This was not my favorite part of the episode. I liked the gag where like he couldn't do the filters. And I know that they needed to do something to make Jerry look stupid, because that's what they needed to do. This wasn't necessarily my favorite part, but luckily it didn't last long. And then he got out. Now, let's skip all these commercials, blah, blah, blah. So then the show, and true Parks and Rec fashion, the show kind of flips itself on its head and then becomes like another different show. It was all of a sudden, now they're on basically YouTube, right? They're still calling each other, but now they're on like YouTube shows. It's so great. So they, Leslie and Ben go on the Jones show, and she's as sad and depressing as ever. I loved it. She talks to her dolls. And then the Dennis Feinstein cologne. I actually laughed out loud for this. It's the Miracle Cure. And basically what they're saying is, if you wear this cologne, you're going to kill the coronavirus. I want to try to get to the actual shot of the bottle right here. Don't listen to the nerds. It totally works. The new virus killing fragrance. It's hilarious. And the way he delivers the lines, if nothing else, if you aren't a huge Parks and Rec fan, if nothing else, I promise you, just find this as a YouTube clip. I'm sure somebody's clipped it out. Find the Miracle Cure little ad. It's like 30 seconds of the show. Watch it. I think at the very least you will enjoy this. Mike says the fact that they got back together and did what was going on was great. We need new stuff. Totally agree. Other than bands and talk shows, this is the first sitcom addressing the virus. Yeah, it's nice. It's some of the first new material. It's great. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I agree totally. So then they go on You Heard with Purd, and that was a nice little callback. The jam stuff was great, where he was offering, let me see if I can get it. He is offering home dentistry services. Yeah, delivery now available. Let me see if I can lock it in here. Yeah, delivery now available. And they go through, like, you can do like this home dentistry packet. It's so great. Jam is one of the best, worst characters for sure. Hey, Geraldo, good morning. Do you know where to watch it if I am from Latin America? That's a good question. I have YouTube TV, so that's how I watch it. I cut the cord a while ago. So I would say well, let's see. Do you have Hulu? I know it's on Hulu. Well, I'll say this. I don't know about Latin America. I'll tell you where you can find it in the US, and maybe there's some crossover. Hulu has it. I know that for sure. Hulu has the replay. I watched it on YouTube TV. I'm pretty sure Hulu TV probably has it. I'm not sure. The new AT&T streaming service probably has it. Or anywhere where you have live TV probably has the VOD of it. I also would not be surprised if you just actually went to NBC.com, because it's a network show, so they usually show those for free anyway. And because this was a sort of like to raise awareness for COVID, I would not be surprised if NBC.com actually has it on their website for you to watch. And then John Ralphio was great. I did not call this number. Should we call it right now? No, let's do that. I didn't call it. Let's see what they got. All right, hold on. 9301. How you spell Ralphio? RALPHIO.
Is dialed. Please check the number.
Oh, come on. You're telling me that this isn't a real number? Hold on. I'm going to make sure I did it right. 9301 RALPHI.
Is dialed. Please check the number.
That is disappointing. I at least expected a pre-recorded message. Sad. All right, negative points for me, John Ralphio. Negative points. Mike loved the commercials as well. Yeah, they were so funny. And then we got into one of my favorite parts of the show, where we bring back one of Andy Dwyer's famous characters, Johnny Karate. And he does a karate lesson. Some of the lines he says are gold, so much so that they have to put a notation on the screen where it says, "Note the virus cannot be karate chopped," because that's what he basically says. He's like, you can karate chop it away. It's so funny. And he also does this like giant kick at the end, and in it he says he hurts his butthole. It was just so funny. There he is. He's walking away, holding his butthole. So funny. I was a little sad that Mona Lisa Saperstein didn't make an appearance, especially with John Ralphio showing up. That's true. That would have been nice. Maybe she's... Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. That's probably one of the people that were missed throughout this whole thing. Maybe she was busy. So then it continues on, and we get more of Ron Swanson, which was nice. And we had real life wife Megan Mullally in here get tied up. This is going to be a daily occurrence with my son screaming at me. I will tell you guys that I cannot wait for daycare to open back up. All right, so now we have Megan Mullally all tied up as wife number 2, and luckily because it's his real wife, we could do this, right? We could be in the same room. I thought this was a very nice touch. Megan Mullally looking cute these days. Good on her. And then we finalize with the whole group getting together to kind of wrap up the storyline of the episode, where all Leslie Knope wants to do is, connect with her friends. And the only thing that got me with this is the whole concept, and I wish this was written a little better, was the fact that they didn't know, or Leslie didn't realize that you could do a group chat. I don't know. It was weird. They needed to write that a little better, but I'll forgive it. It's fine. Trinity, yes, I am a parent. Oh, I mean, you know this obviously, but you are the daycare. Maybe one day. Here's what I'm going to do, Trinity. At 11 o'clock my time, I am just going to sit my son in front of the computer, and I'm going to play morning movie chat later for him. So you better bring it with some comics for him. Okay. I mean, he's 2, he can't read, but you better bring it. All right. All right, so we wrap this up, and to cheer her up, we get a reprise of Bye Bye Little Sebastian, and I gotta say, it was emotional. My wife cried, but she cries at like almost everything at the drop of a hat. So she welled up. It was funny seeing Ben hated the whole time, hated this, and which is true to form. Like, he hated the song in the show. It was great, and Chris Pratt singing live, live to tape. It was so good. So that was it. That was the episode. I really enjoyed it. I gotta say, I'm very interested to see the returns on this. I want to see. We're not gonna know the true. Like, we'll probably find out today what the overnights were. We will probably know in the next few days what the VOD is. Usually they do now is usually a +5, which means a 5-day. So I would say by the end of next week, we'll know like a good amount of how many people actually watch this thing. And I gotta say, I think it's gonna do well. I really do. At least I hope so. Because if I could greenlight another one, I would say do it. Don't outstay your welcome. And the truth is, and I was reading, not this article, but I was reading another article about it. And basically they were like, if it wasn't for everything that's going on right now, this would have never happened. There's too many stars and in this show, and they never would have been able to get everybody together to do it. Just scheduling. It's not a want not to do it. It's the scheduling that they just could not do it. It wouldn't happen. So I'm thrilled, and I hope they do one more. I hope they put it together. Come back next month, maybe at the end of May, do another one, or beginning of June. Yeah, I want one more. It was such a good taste. And I think now that they got a feel for what they could do, now maybe they could actually do as much of a storyline as they could possibly. They definitely ran through the hits of this, but it was still very funny. So I guess that's my review of the Parks and Rec special. I didn't really intend for it to be a review. I just sort of wanted to like nerd out with everybody about this. So thank you for indulging me. So I guess that's my review. Jay says, random question: when you're all rich and YouTube famous, you're not going to forget about us little guys, are you? Jay, 0% chance of me being rich and YouTube famous. So to answer that second part, I will definitely not forget the great Jay Wolin for sure. Look, when I have my son screaming in the background, there's 0% chance of me being YouTube famous. Let's be honest. Okay, so that's Parks and Rec. That was good. So now I want to jump into some actual news, some good, some interesting movie news. The first thing I want to cover slightly, which is not news to this show, because I don't know, am I allowed to say I'm the first YouTuber in the morning yesterday to cover this story, which I think is technically true, but that's only because I wake up early and I hit record, or I hit stream first before anyone else. So does that really count? But the news that came out again was that there's a Hercules Live remake. Now, the thing that I laugh about is how a Hollywood Reporter is now claiming this as an exclusive, because they added a piece to it of who the writer and the producer is, which I find hilarious. It's such a game. It is such a game. The scoop game. man, people want to be that exclusive. I guess it gets the clicks. I mean, it's weird to me, right? In a world where people retweet and all people do is read headlines, I'm very curious, and I would love to talk to somebody. Maybe this is a conversation that I can have. I can try to convince Josh to have, and maybe we'll get Jeremy on, because it's a question I have of what is the angle to be exclusive in a world where people aren't necessarily going to your site just because you have the exclusive. Is it only to say to have a track record, but there's no like real track record out there? Now, I know recently somebody was doing a Reddit thread of people who aren't very successful at scoops. You know what I would love? I would love like an accountability site. Every time somebody puts out an exclusive, and for everyone and for it to be out on Front Street. If I had the time, I would do it. I don't have the time. Just remember who it was that said Victoria Alonso would take over for Feige. That was nearly years ago. Modern day Nostradamus. Okay, we'll remember that. Hey, Santa, good morning. Santa, you are never late. You arrive precisely when you mean to. So I find this funny that they are now. So the Russos, it's great because remember we talked yesterday about in the Diz Insider article. They said we heard a year ago that Joe and Anthony Russo's name was batted around for directing the project. And clearly it says here for producing and not directing. A clear shot at the Diz Insider. Clear shot saying we have better sources. That's a clear shot, because they could have just said are producing, but they had to say not directing because they know everyone read that Diz Insider article. So what do you guys think about this? Russos are producing, which is not that big of a deal. They actually, some of the stuff they've quote unquote produced, not necessarily the greatest, but this could be, you know, more of a figurehead producing. So I'm not that's a headline grabber. But really the interesting information is Dave Callahan, who launched Expendables, which was an okay franchise. And he is the upcoming writer of the new Shang-Chi movie. So that is yet to be seen if that's good. But clearly the Russos and Callahan probably have a professional working relationship, because I'm sure they've seen each other around the old Marvel cafeteria, and that's good. Look, Expendables was decent enough. It's interesting that they got somebody who wrote the Expendables and Shang-Chi to write a Hercules movie. Maybe he's a big fan of the film. It seems like an odd choice just because of his past work, but not because he's maybe not talented. It'll be interesting. We'll have to see. And I'm sorry, this whole talk about Ariana Grande being the female lead, no. Please no. Oh yeah. All because she sang on the family's sing-along. That's it. That's where this comes from. And now Twitter's all up in thing about her playing Megara, right? That's how you say it. No, guys, just because a professional singer can sing a song. I'm not saying that professional singers can't transition into acting. What I will say is that Ariana Grande has not had any major film roles for her to land a major Disney feature. If she wants to venture into acting, start small, work your way up. You have the extreme talent to sing. There's no denying that. I'm breaking up. Maybe here, let me get a little closer. How's that, Mike? Or maybe it's my internet. Is my internet breaking up? No, I'm good. All right, I'll talk louder. I was whispering. I will speak up for you, Mike. Speak up into the mic for Mike. So yeah, that's a pass. That's a pass for me if she is. So moving on. All right, so here's what I was talking about earlier. We'll breeze through these quick. We got a few minutes left. It was freezing. Oh no, that's weird. I'm still at. I haven't dropped any frames. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. Well, if it was freezing for all of you, then clearly it was on me. But hopefully it's okay now. Are we good now, at least? Or do I need to shut the whole thing down? Yes. Yes, what? Yes, good, or yes, shut it down. Okay, better now. All right, good. All right, so we have Legendary coming out with a movie called Brother, starring Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage, which sounds interesting for sure. Two great actors. Andrew Lazar is producing, who produced American Sniper. All right, check. Macon Blair is a name that you may have heard. About a year ago, he was tapped to write and direct the Toxic Avenger reboot for Legendary as well. So he's got a nice working relationship with Legendary. So that's interesting. Story details are being kept under wraps, other than it will revolve around two brothers, played by Brolin and Dinklage. Sources say the project is in the vein of the classic comedy Twins. So, hey, if this is not a direct Twins reboot, but more of a, spiritual, big guy, little guy, best friends or brothers. I don't know. Like, maybe it is a Twins reboot. Like, secretly, quietly, this is a Twins reboot. If so, I'm okay with it. Twins is not one of those movies that I am, staunch, putting my feet in the ground and taking a stand. You can't reboot that. That's fine. First one was okay. I think if you get these guys, Josh Brolin and Peter Dinklage, who have proven they can do comedy, then sure. I would love to see that. So I like I said before, that's why I like bringing up some of these smaller movies that we may not hear of. Adam Driver is going to be in a Jeff Nichols film called Yankee Commandant. Jeff Nichols, director of Mud, Midnight Special. Not much is on this one, but I thought it was worth noting because generally Adam Driver does pick good projects, especially his more indie stuff. He definitely has a good eye for material. So yeah, this is something for us to keep our eye on. Literally nothing on here except for casting. There's no story. They're not going to be shooting until next year. It's based on two people who rose the rank of commandant during the Cuban Revolution. So that's it. This is a basic synopsis. There's no like what his character would be doing or anything. So there you go. So there's that. And finally, we have a stoner comedy coming. We haven't had a good stoner comedy in a while. Paramount lands comedy spec The Aliens Are Stealing Our Weed, starring Gina Rodriguez. Written by Ryan Firpo, who wrote The Eternals. So here we go. We got another MCU scribe out there. So here's the synopsis. Story follows Candace, played by Rodriguez, and Izzy, obviously not cast yet. Two hapless pot growers who, after their entire crop of weed inexplicably goes missing, undercover an alien conspiracy to steal the planet's marijuana supply. Sources say studio execs felt the story fell in line with other Paramount comedies like Anchorman, Airplane, and Blazing Saddles, and moved quickly to acquire it. So I'm good, man. That sounds fun. Let's get it. Let's get a nice stoner comedy coming. We haven't had one in a while. And that's such a ridiculous premise that I'm loving it. And just the fact that they're comparing it to Anchorman, Airplane, and Blazing Saddles, I'm down. Give me a nice comedy for sure. All right, that's it, folks. That's all the news I got for you today. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'm sure that next coming up at 10 o'clock with the Den of Nerds live. I don't know what Josh is talking about. Let me see if I can bring it up. I don't know if he did his thumbnail yet. No, it doesn't look like it. So I gotta assume he's probably talking Clone Wars, I would imagine. The only reason I didn't, Santa says it'll likely be Clone Wars episode. Definitely. I'm gonna go and watch some of it before I head over to the show. I was trying to watch it this morning, didn't get a chance to before I went live. So, I'm gonna go over and watch some of that before we head over to Josh and the Den. So I hope you all have a excellent weekend. Stay safe. Wash those hands, and just be good out there, because I want you all to come back on Monday so we can talk. At this point, Monday we might be talking Westworld season finale. It's May the 4th, so we're definitely gonna be doing some Star Wars stuff. We can't ignore the Star Wars, and we're gonna have the season finale of Clone Wars to talk about. So definitely. We will watch. That will be watched before we go live. So if you get a chance, wake up early, stay up late, watch that last episode of Clone Wars, because I think we're going to be talking about that and other Star Wars stuff for May the 4th. We'll come up with some nice fun stuff to do. So thank you all for stopping by. Jay, Mike, Santa, Trinity, and thank you to anyone else who's watching this on VOD. I appreciate it. We're having fun in the morning, so hopefully you guys are too, for sure. So thank you all, and we will catch you on Monday. Have a great weekend.